I mentioned the use of allulose quite a bit in my insulin reduction protocol. Allulose is very good for raising your GLP-1 levels. When you raise GLP-1, it allows you to feel full. You're not hungry. You're satisfied. Also, when you sweeten things with allulose, this is the natural sugar that's found in figs. Your body recognizes it as something that's truly sweet, and when you satisfy your sweet tooth, you no longer crave actual sweets. So here we have a sweetener with no calories that literally crushes your sweet tooth. So knocks out hunger, knocks out your drive for further sweets, can lower blood sugar even. More is actually better for you. One of my favorite recipes with allulose is simply to take a banana. I don't recommend bananas too often because a banana has the glycemic index of a cookie. So not great if you're trying to lower your insulin levels. But, every now and then, especially if you're going to take some fiber with it, a banana is a nice treat. And if you take that banana, cut it up into individual slices, then roll those slices into allulose, now you have a very sweet banana, but it borders on a dessert banana. So it intensely satisfies your sweet tooth, and because you've rolled it in allulose, it raises your GLP-1 levels, so you're going to be satisfied with this little snack for several hours. But my number one favorite recipe with allulose is homemade ice cream. If you don't have a homemade ice cream maker, I recommend that you get one. The reason that I never had one until this year is because ice cream is a no-no. Full of sugar. Can't have a bunch of sugar. I don't want the temptation. I don't buy ice cream because I can't stop. I get a container of ice cream, you take it out of the refrigerator and you just want a little snack, so you take the spoon, rather than put it into a bowl, I just get it right out of the carton, planning on just taking a tablespoon or two. Well, that doesn't work out very well for me because I love that zone where it starts to melt around the edges and you get this nice melted ice cream thing. It's very smooth, and so you take your spoon and you go around the edges, and that is the best ice cream. But then more starts to melt and you don't want that melted stuff to go to waste, so you scoop that and then the next one and the next one. Pretty soon you need to go buy more ice cream. Okay, that's the problem, is you consume 2,000 calories in one setting. That's happened to me before, so I don't buy ice cream. However, allulose makes ice cream back on the menu. Okay, it's very, very good. And the ice cream that you make with allulose, I'm telling you, you can't tell it from regular ice cream. It not only satisfies your sweet tooth, it does it in a big, delicious way. So I'm going to give you the recipe. People, when they taste this ice cream recipe, they say, Bill, you could make millions of dollars selling this recipe. You could sell it yourself and you do so well. Well, I'm not a business person. I make enough money being a doctor, okay? So I'm not going to sell it. I'm going to give it to you, okay? Because if you are trying to improve your glycemic health, this recipe can help you a lot. Ice cream is actually good for you, except for the sugar. It's good for you. Now, the bad things about ice cream commercially is the sugar, and the other thing that's really bad for you are the emulsifiers like gargum and things like that. The emulsifiers, you don't want to use those because emulsifiers are pro-inflammatory. You want to stay away from anything that is pro-inflammatory. So instead of using emulsifiers, we use fiber instead. So fiber, these powdered fibers will give you the emulsification effects without increasing inflammation. So, and the other good thing about this ice cream per se though, is the milk fat. Turns out, unlike what we learned in medical school many years ago, which was wrong, that milk fat is bad for you, that, drink skim milk rather than whole milk. That was a horrible advice, created a lot of obese people. Turns out milk fat is very satisfying. It quelches your appetite for a long time. Fat is very good at giving you fullness over an extended period of time. Carbs, you eat some carbs and you're not hungry for about 10 or 15 minutes, and it causes your blood sugar to spike, and then half an hour later your blood sugar is now cratered and you're hungry again. Milk fat, it is absorbed more slowly and it leaves you satisfied for hours. Not only that, milk fat breaks down into medium chain triglycerides, which are excellent for your brain. So milk fat, coconut oil, palm oil, those are fats that turn into medium chain triglycerides and are excellent for your brain. Milk fat does not contribute to atherosclerosis. It does not clog your arteries. The fat that clogs your arteries, the cholesterol that clogs your arteries is from sugar, from carbohydrates, okay? Not animal fat and not dietary fat. So brain health, medium chain triglycerides, MCT, excellent for your brain. So when you eat ice cream with no sugar and just milk fat, you are getting the benefits of MCT to your brain without the horrible side effects of all sugar, which causes health problems across the board. So let's jump into the recipe. What's the recipe? You start with 2 pints of heavy cream. 2 pints of heavy cream. Take those, you pour those into your mixing bowl. Now, I'm not gonna do it in front of you because I have a bunch in the freezer right now. I don't need another batch of homemade ice cream. And I'm not gonna make it just for this video, but you don't need to watch me do it. Hopefully this will do the trick for you. So 2 pints of heavy cream. Doesn't matter what brand. Now next, for those of you who are lactose intolerant, such as myself, you wanna add some lactase powder. That will take care of the sugar lactose so that it doesn't cause you to bloat and cause cramping. So you take this baby and it says, 2 scoops for every 10 ounces of water. So I usually use about 4 scoops. For our recipe, I put in about 4 scoops. That works for me. Now, because I'm not completely lactose intolerant, for those who have really bad problems and even tiny amounts of lactose give you really bad gas and stuff, you might want to use 6 scoops. But I find that 4 scoops is plenty. Okay, so 4 scoops of that into your milky mixture to take care of the lactose. Okay, next, you want to add some salt. So you want like a teaspoon of salt. I like Himalayan pink salt, but salt doesn't matter. I think I can kind of taste the flavor in this and I like it, so whatever. But so your salt. After your salt, eggs. So you want to use 4 eggs. So you take 4 eggs, drop it right into your mixture. Okay? So you got your 4 eggs. Next, you want to add vanilla bean paste. Not vanilla. If you want a really rich, because we're talking about a French vanilla ice cream. So to really enjoy the vanilla-ness of our recipe. Now, I first discovered this vanilla bean paste at Meijer, and I got Watkins organic vanilla bean paste, and it worked out great. It was delicious, absolutely delicious. The only problem is I couldn't find it again after that. I don't know, I went there, I look at the shelf under vanilla, and all I get is like regular vanilla extract. I only found it the one time. So I ordered on Amazon, and I got this brand. It's called Gourmet Vanilla Bean Paste, natural vanilla flavors, and it tasted just as good, and look how much you get. It turns out to be quite a bit cheaper. So I got this on Amazon. So you want to take a tablespoon of this thick vanilla bean paste, and that goes in your mixture with your cream and salt and lactase and eggs. Okay? The next thing you want to do is you want to add your emulsifier. So you got 2 kinds of fiber that you can use. You got the beta fiber, and then you have your psyllium pipe fiber. Doesn't matter which one you use. It doesn't matter. I tend to favor psyllium because of all the benefits, but they're pretty close. It doesn't matter. So basically, you want to take a couple tablespoons of fiber. Don't use both, just pick one, okay? So a couple tablespoons, boosh, and those 2 tablespoons will give you nice fiber. So you got that in there. So one more ingredient, and that is your allulose. Allulose. So you want to take 1.5 cups of allulose, and that, goes in your mixture. 1.5 cups. All right. Now, the next thing you want to do is add air. Okay, because you don't want it to be flat, and that means mixing it. Now, I recommend using the most powerful mixer that you have. If you got one of those big professional mixers, use it and put it on high, because you want to whip the crap out of that baby. You want it nice and fluffy. Your volume should increase substantially, almost twice the volume when you're whipping it. And so what I'll do is I'll start with the hand mixer and get it good and mixed. And then I put it into my blender. I have a really high-speed blender, and I use half a batch at a time because it will overflow my blender if I don't do half batches. So I take 1/2 batch, I put up the blender on high, okay, and then you watch it as the volume goes to the top of the blender. Then you pour that into your ice cream maker chamber. You got a central chamber in your ice cream maker. You pour that in it once it fluffs up. Then you put the second group, okay, the rest of your solution into the blender, whip it up, and then pour that into your central chamber of the ice cream maker, okay? Now your ice cream maker is full to the line of fluffy ice cream solution. So next, what you do is you take your ice, you gotta have a lot of ice. Hopefully your refrigerator makes a whole lot of ice because you're gonna need it. And then you pour that into the chamber. You center your ice cream container in the bucket, and then you pour the ice all around it. So you do your first layer, so you go up halfway on the chamber. All right, so like imagine this is your ice cream chamber, so you got your solution in it, and imagine this is your bucket, so you put it in there, okay? And so next you put ice all around your central chamber, so you go up halfway, and then you take your rock salt. There's actually ice cream salt in the store that you can buy. Okay, sometimes it says ice cream salt. The last one I got, it just says coarse kosher salt. Coarse kosher salt, okay? So you sprinkle that around, get it nice and around. Don't have to use a whole box, just doesn't say, just cover the top surface, and then add another layer of ice all the way up to nearly the top, okay? And then on that second layer, sprinkle your salt all around that. Now what you do with the salt sprinkling is you're literally making the ice colder, all right? So now you're ready to go. You put your top on the system, you lock the baby down, turn your ice cream maker on, and let it go. And you gotta let it go for at least 30 minutes, longer if you want to, but I do mine 30 minutes. And after 30 minutes, I pour it into some plastic containers and then toss that in the freezer. And there you go. Now, one thing you can do though, if you find, now that is really, really good, and most of you, you're done, that's as much as you go. If you have a really, really out of control sweet tooth, and you want your ice cream a little bit sweeter, what you can do if you want to cheat a little bit is take some agave nectar, okay? So that when you're done and you have a thicker solution of ice cream, and you pull it out of after your 30 minutes are up, you can take maybe 2 teaspoons of agave nectar and sprinkle that around the surface and kind of mix that in there, just swirl it around a little bit. That will boost your sweetness by about 15 to 20% even more. Now it does add some calories, not many, because it's 2 teaspoons for the entire container of ice cream. So that's very few calories. It doesn't add very much at all, but it greatly intensifies the sweetness that you're going to get out of the ice cream. You don't have to use it. Sometimes I'll add it, sometimes I don't. But that's a tweak that you can do if you want to cheat just a little without hurting yourself too much. So go ahead and try that. You will discover that most people, I have yet to find a person that can tell the difference between this French vanilla ice cream and anything you buy in the store. And most commonly, this recipe will beat store-bought ice cream in terms of overall satisfaction. Try it, you'll see. Okay, I hope that helps. And now that I have explained it on YouTube, I can refer people to this link so I don't have to keep explaining how to make this delicious ice cream. Thanks for watching.